We're sitting right on this key level, so we're going to have to watch this very carefully. Hey everybody, in today's video we're going to go through 5 stocks to watch for tomorrow, the indexes, and I want to give you 2 quick tips that you can utilize to find trades during the day. So first and foremost, PayPal and their infinite wisdom decided to come out and start charging people for misinformation. After backlash on social media, they came out and said, well, maybe that was a mistake, or they said we didn't really mean it. Something along those lines. Anyway, nobody's really having it. And you're seeing the stock down from this peak in 2 days, 11%. Today's move down was right about here. There we go. So you were down about 3% from the open, and then from the previous close, you were down about 6.5%. Now, the question is what happens now? I don't see a lot of people rushing to buy something like this right now. So I would expect that with the way that the RSI is pointing down, the way you're sitting right on these levels, let's be honest about these support levels right now, right? They're places of interest. They have not been holding metrics. None of this is holding. And we're going to get into that today because even the sectors that should be holding are not holding. They're just setting us up and then knocking us down. So we're going to address that as well. But names like this, if you crack this 84.31 tomorrow, you're heading lower. You're heading a lot lower. People that are in this do not want to be in the next time bomb. And with where the indexes are sitting right now, going into PPI on Wednesday, CPI on Thursday, nobody wants to be around for this and have a nice surprise when they wake up the next morning. So something to consider. Now, next on the list, SOXS. If you do not get the free newsletter, they are coming out daily now. The reason they're coming out daily is because things are moving so fast. There is a link in description below. Yesterday's newsletter that went out walked through why this was a buy, why AMD and NVIDIA look like shorts, what's going on in the semiconductor space, and why it's about to get a lot worse. So that would have paid off very handsomely today. This is up over 15% on the day. This can actually still head and take out these levels. It's very, very possible. Now, why do I say that? You're going to have to take a look at the newsletter. I'm not going to go through it all right now. Bottom line is all earnings in that sector are going to have to come in. So, and listen to those words, have to. It's not even optional anymore. If you understand semiconductors and how they're all interconnected, and I'm not the only one that understands this. So after everybody did their research this weekend, that's why you see the weakness. Not because, quote, China or Russia is going to come out and we're not going to be able to sell chips to them. That's the least of the reasons why this is going on. So just go read Micron's, go take a look at Micron's earnings report and listen to the conference call. They just cut CapEx by 50%. So take a look at that newsletter. Anyway, see this level right here? Got up over it, couldn't get there, but you have this huge island down here. So this is telling you everything you need to know, right? You gapped down, flushed, and then gapped back up. It's everything you need to see. Eventually, you're going to flip this level. You're going to push higher. Do not rule this out because it's up. Just wait for some kind of pullback, set up, and then go from there. I'll show you exactly what we did today. Russia-Ukraine talks came out, and Russia's saying, let's give peace a chance. And so we basically just sold down on that news, right? Because this is a bear fund. So everyone bought because now Russia, we're going to go to peace. Nobody really believed it, but they sold anyway, just because everything's on a hair trigger right now, right? So then we sell down and you get right to that VWAP. So the very first tip that I'm going to give you, if you're an intraday trader right now and you're not using VWAP, you're missing out. You don't have to use anchored VWAP from 3 days ago, 4 days ago. If you're an intraday trader and you're not utilizing VWAP right now, you're missing out. So this was a very simple trade that I did in the trading community for the group. All we did was come down, form an H. You can see how that H did not hold. That's all you need to see. And it was on. So then we just bought it. And then you just simply are scaling out the whole way up. And then you just get to a point where enough's enough, and we were up so much versus our risk. It was like 4-1 or 5-1. We just blew out of the whole thing. But you need to be using this. It's everywhere. Okay, you don't have to be active off the open if you're running into an issue. Just utilize these key levels and watch them. Even if it breaks, watch. This was beautiful. If you understand your candlestick patterns, and I'll link it below, but or at the end of the video. But you see this right here, and then you have this bar right here. That's a perfect bullish harami. Period. Okay, and then you flip that, gives you an entry right in here in the Sqqq, which is right where we are, right? And then this was your stop. This is what you're using. You're in this trade for 25, 30 cents. And then you just ride it, and you were able to pull some money out of it today very, very nicely. So just consider that. These are things that you can do on your own, and you can learn how to utilize them and then start learning how to use RSI and the volume along with it. But they are two trades that are not done, and I would use the same exact pattern recognition tomorrow. So that's the first tip I'll give you, and I'll give you the other one towards the end when we cover the indexes because it ties in. So the names so far that I would focus on tomorrow are Sqqq, SOXS, PayPal. Those moves are not over. Now, one thing I do want to say, this is concerning if you are long. If you are a long investor, this should concern you. Oil really didn't come in that much today, down like $1 at one point, and the oil names got decimated. So if we're going to start breaking even the sectors that are strong, and let me tell you where I'm going with this. So in other words, oil went up on Friday. Oil is still higher Friday than where these stocks are, right? From that move. That's troubling. So it's telling me that the commodity is going higher, which it is, right? We can take a look at the commodity, but the sector in and of itself is going down. You don't want to see that. Okay? You don't want to see that. So in other words, here you are on the 7th and the 10th, right? Yes, you're down a little bit today, right, from the high, but you're still higher than where you were previously. But if you take a look at the corresponding sector, it's down. So I have underperformance with the energy names versus the commodity. Why is that happening? People don't want to own stocks. Despite these little rallies that you're seeing, basically all it is get me out of these names. Just get me out. Let me break even and I'll sell. We all know how that goes. It just doesn't happen. So keep that in mind. It's definitely something that you need to be aware of. You can see more volatility as you're going into the week, as CPI comes out and PPI comes out. But this was really troubling for me because this was the one sector that I thought could keep us up. And we're going to do the indexes in one moment. But let's go through this as well. TAN. You're below your 200-day moving average right now. This was the strongest performing sector out there. And we're setting up for a large move, in my opinion. You're setting up for a large move, not just here, but in the indexes. We'll cover in a second. You're setting up for a significant move. But you see this right here? See how you broke that 200 and then you're down? Well, all these names can't hold. Okay? It's not, these names are not going to hold. They might rally up. They might squeeze the shorts. They're just going to roll right back over. It's just a question of when. There's no way that this one section is just going to miraculously go up while everything else in the market goes down. People are just going to take those profits and move on. But I think it's important to look at those particular names. Now, one name that I think is setting up, and I think it's going to finally crack, is I think that this SARK is just setting up. I think this is just setting up beautifully right here. So you have your little flag, right? Holds, retests, comes back, goes. I mean, it doesn't get any cleaner. It really doesn't. And you're seeing this all over the place where this was another one we had in the list today, but like, look at these bear funds. They're just breaking out. It's the same exact pattern that you had right here, right? You can see it. It's a little wider because it's thinner, but NVDS, this 1.25 NVIDIA bear fund, I just stuck with the SOXS, NVIDIA short, and the AMD short. Reminder, this was all in those newsletters. All of it was just completely mapped out, and it was in Saturday's video, which I will link here as well. This is setting up to go into double digits. There's very little that's going to stop that from happening now, in my opinion. No one has a crystal ball. I could be wrong. CPI could come in, right, and just absolutely crush, okay, and crush in like the good sense. But I just don't see what's going to stop this from coming in and stopping earnings from coming down. You got to keep your eye on the VIX. If you stay between this 32 to 35, this is where our little reversals and rallies have happened, and we are going into CPI. So keep your eye on that. The issue that I will just hammer home is that if you get above this 35, you will see a meltdown. you will see major selling in the equities. So keep this on your screen tomorrow and watch this very closely. You're also going to have rebalancing tomorrow because the bond market was not open today. Keep that in mind. We're going to start with the S&P 500. Peak all the way down to 362 to 420, right? Look at that move all the way down. Now, if you count that move, puts you at 14%. Okay, that's how much more that move is counting to. So that's telling you about 3.307 is what this count is. You need to watch this, and you need to watch this really closely. Okay, all of a sudden, support is becoming what? Resistance. Okay, you should not be rushing into these. I don't know what CPI is going to be. I don't know what PPI is going to be. I know the tail does not wag the dog, and we need to look at the macro, but you cannot be looking at this and hitting new lows and saying, oh, everything's going to be fine. To me, this is setting up for kind of a frog in boiling water move where people are going to stay in names and eventually they're just going to crack. So this is definitely something that you're going to have to watch. But overall, IWM's hanging in there. We'll see how it does tomorrow. I can just tell you from my experience and looking at this, when things start to crack and people start to realize how overvalued certain sectors are, if they're going to cover, this is again from the newsletter, if they're going to come in the way that we think they are, this is where my count comes down to about another 33%. So again, watch that, go get that newsletter so that you can follow along with what we're talking about here. But when you start looking at trough PE earnings, this is where it puts you. So if they can't rally it, if earnings are going to be unsustainable, which they are currently unsustainable, semis are just beginning. It's not ending. So you can make money on the short side. I know people don't like it. And if you don't, look at the bear ETFs. If you are interested in the trading community, there is a link up here in the top right corner. Everybody have a great evening and trade to win.